Welcome back to SHECAN, where we feature role models who inspire you by sharing their insights, their experiences, their lessons learned to help you on your journey. And I'm super excited to be talking to Asia Brown today. Asia, welcome to SHECAN. We're so excited to have you. You are a incredible visionary leader with an unshakable commitment to equity, access, and opportunity. You are the youngest ever mayor of the city of Compton in America, in California, after being an urban planner, and you won on your vision for Compton, which was a 12-point plan, and it was all about reducing gang violence and bringing new jobs. And you managed to bring $3 billion in new investment to the area. You halved unemployment. So you have really tangible results for this big vision that you held for your hometown or your town, the town that you decided to be your home. And then you were called the visionary architect of Compton's Renaissance. You're the chief empowerment officer of Compton. And after that tenure, you decided to go into the private sector and became the strategic impact partner at Forward in 2022. You're a transformation catalyst. You equip leaders for reformation. You do something called Power Up with Asia, where you do executive and leadership consulting, government tech solutions, strategic impact solutions, and it's all to drive economic reinvestment, foster sustainable and growth in communities, and unlock potential through digital transformation. Asia, you have an incredible curriculum. You've done so many incredible things. Tell us a little bit about those pivotal points along your journey that got you to where you are today.
Absolutely. I thank you so much for having me, Stephanie. And I can definitely unequivocally say that the preparation in combination with just my faith in God to lead and guide my path and to utilize all of the skill sets and trajectory and really the passion and the fire that he put inside of my heart. From a young age, I cared about how people lived. I wanted to know why different systems were designed, why neighborhoods were different than others. And he literally guided my path right into college. I started out pre-engineering and he led me over to urban planning. I hadn't even heard about urban planning, but I utilized just the strategies of policy instruments to eradicate wealth throughout 10 years prior to even um, being redirected back to Compton. My mother and father were raised in Compton, and through just personal tragedy, the loss of my grandmother, I was raised in Altadena. And then the Lord really directed my path back to Compton. I was serving in ministry, was offered a role to lead capital projects. And then the Lord gave me the call that it was my assignment. I was looking for a new mayor. He said, actually, it's you. You're it. And I had no experience in politics. I hadn't followed politics. I was uninterested in politics, actually. But um, the Lord gave me the vantage point that in order to have systemic changes, it starts at the policy level and it's easier to push a boulder downhill than up. And so obviously you shared I ran one, served, and really was a catalyst for revitalization in communities. But I just want to encourage people that usually the thing that ignites anger, love, just passion, human passion, are the things that we're appointed to really make an impact.
Yeah, Asia, I am so inspired when I read about what you've done for that community. And it's incredible that you were in the beginning of your 30s, right? Or around the 30 mark, and
Yes.
you were able to hold this really, really big vision. What would you say are the things that really matter to you and how you want to matter in the world after all of those experiences where you learn that you can hold this big vision and that you can actually also follow through on the points that are so important to you?
Absolutely. Vision is such a powerful tool because not only does it point to the future, but it also gives a picture of what the future could look like and it unfolds a roadmap. And it also allows multiple stakeholders to see where they fit in to a vision and to align to go forward, which then opens up the opportunity for momentum to be built and then it creates this force of transformation. And so vision is so powerful, and I encourage everyone to really get a clear vision on how they want to impact the world around them. And to answer your second question, the way that I would love to be remembered is that I love people. I follow God's instructions, and I had a tremendous impact on the spaces around me. And hopefully, I've left the world better for my daughters and those that come even after them.
Yeah, AJ, for sure. So tell us a little bit about those main learnings and how you
Yes.
carry them into your current purpose and work, because it's much more
Mhm.
than a work, it's a real purpose.
Yes, absolutely. I encourage everyone, especially those that are younger and starting out on their journey, to recognize that vision, wisdom, they're without age boundaries or even experience. If you have a vision and you have the wisdom to codify it and create influence, then you are carrying an oracle that's really powerful that can shift just systems and places around us. And some of the lessons learned was very much understanding that there will always be forces against progress and change. And I was just, naive, 30 years old, thinking that the understanding that the community as a whole wanted to move forward, but then also that there are different definitions of what forward looks like. And then that anytime we're sent into a system to affect change, by definition, there's a force, an opposing force that you're going to go influence. And so the existing systems that held up poverty, just inequity, inequality, all of those things, that they are going to always oppose a new force of transformation and change. So just expect opposition in a real way, but also welcome it, because there's lessons that you can hear even in an opposing force. There's opportunities, there's insight and strategy that you can glean from and get on the offense. The key is always to figure out how you can stay in an offensive strategy to move forward. You never want to be in a position where you're defensive or responding to an opposing force, because that's their strategy, to just like confuse and contain and ultimately to demobilize forward progress.
Yeah. Which is what we're seeing now, Asia. And it's a
Mhm.
perfect example what is happening now. That is the opposite of what you did, because
Mhm.
Um, and what you did very successfully, Asia, is that you really started a movement. You weren't just affecting change, and you weren't just reacting to a situation that you wanted to change. You really started a movement. What was it that you thought you could do that? I mean, there must be something that you are less fearful, or you're just more courageous. Where do you think this is coming from, that you thought, yeah, no one did that, but I'm going to do that?
Definitely believe, having the faith that we all carry this seed that is a promise of what can unfold when we go forward by faith. And so faith is, I would love to say that, I'm more courageous or bold and brave, but the reality is I made a decision. And so when we make a decision, which is literally by definition to cut off all other options, then we move forward just one step at a time. Doing beautiful, powerful things is literally one decision every single day over and over again. And you look back and you have scaled a mountain, but it just happens one decision, one day, one commitment at a time. And truly having tunnel vision to the vision, because the vision will center, it'll compel, it will continue to be a driving force of why you are going through the terrain and the forces of wickedness in high places, and really also continue to be a compass on why we need to touch areas of community. One of the key things that I believe was a catalyst to creating a movement was to recognize that every human being is an expert in their condition. And if we are called to serve people, we need to go and sit with them. We need to speak with them and talk with them and really hear what are their obstacles and challenges, and then really legislate and convene resources to affect that root cause. And that comes from, the human condition, and then also combining that with data. Data is so important for understanding the most strategic way to impact an outcome. And so I was equipped as an urban planner and understood economic development and redevelopment, all of those instruments is all that they are. But then combining that with human condition, I think it created the perfect collision for just catalytic change. But you need both. And you also need a heart for people to really love them and care for them, because then you're just operating innately. It's natural to figure out, okay, let's create some youth programs, let's clean the parks, let's bring more resources for the next generation. Let's speak to those that felt disenfranchised, that are creating the minority of folks that are creating the chaos. Let's speak to them and figure out how we can demobilize the destruction and create opportunities to really construct a new life and a better future. So all of those things, it really stems from love, but then combining the tool sets, that the toolkit that we have to really be catalytic.
Yeah, and Asia, you really showed that when you brought stakeholders together, different gangs within the city, and you were able to bring about so much change here and then attract investment. So I'm wondering, how do you feel? What tips can one give to people, or young people especially, who feel often paralyzed by the sheer massive mountain that is the challenges that we have right now? Um, how can each one become a transformation catalyst? What does it take? How does it work?
Yes. Excuse me. I my hope is in young people. They're so different. I think this generation that we're seeing, they are they see through a lens of equality and equity. They don't carry this generational cycles and dispositions that former generations have. And they're also tech savvy, and they're just wonderfully brilliant and compassionate and caring. So we're in good hands. And the roadmap for them is to recognize that regardless of what's happening at the national level, even globally, that the heartbeat of a nation is still the community, is still at the neighborhood level. And so everyone has the opportunity to impact their neighborhood, to create a catalytic change in their communities, to really invest in young people and creating safe spaces of not just safety, which every human deserves, but provision and ensuring that they have just resources, and that obstacles and barriers that that continue to create this systemic inequality are eliminated. Just having access to food, a safe place, computers where they can just create and express themselves, and music. I mean, thinking about just the art of humanity and installing the basic determining factors in community is still so important. One thing I always share, Dr. Raj Chetty, he's from Harvard. He created this beautiful, powerful empirical data study called Opportunity Insights, but it literally documented American communities for decades. And it identified down to the census tract what the trajectory were, what were the educational attainment, even recidivism rates. But long story short, his data, it's proven the fact that we innately know is true. If we invest in community, we create a havens of just natural growth, and invest at the neighborhood level, that all trajectories can be broken. He highlighted, and just serendipitously, a neighborhood in Watts, which is just really the neighboring community of Compton, and then a neighborhood in Compton, and the trajectories were so drastically different. And so the data revealed that because Compton at that time had a wealth of just community resources, close knit fabrics of families, that the every single systemic barrier was shattered. So we have the power to do that now, and to we can't ignore what's happening, but we have just an ecosystem and a connective tissue that we can resist every single day with good things and with resources within our communities.
Yeah. Asia, so with the work that you're doing now, tell us a little bit, what you're working towards. What's your really big vision? How do you really want to be part of a solution to the times we live in?
Absolutely. One area that I've spent quite a bit of time in the last 3 years is in the technology sector, and it's really designing tech systems that governments across the world can utilize to systemically break down the barriers of poverty. And what that means in simple terms is that regardless of a budgetary allocation, so in the United States, Congress will pass budgets. I know throughout the world, the government will ultimately pass budgets that trickle down to regions and ultimately neighborhoods. But those appropriations are just appropriations. There must be an equitable, efficient system that connects that budget to that area of impact and community, a family, a business. And so what happens is there's always a huge gap, and the data suggest it purports this that every government in America, pretty much, excuse me, well, in America, but also even globally, there's generally a nexus of what's unspent. And what is unspent is literally an indication of what has not been reached down to where it was designed to go. And it doesn't mean that the need isn't there. It means that the system is broken. And so what we have designed is a technology, just simple, intuitive platform that humans can go one place and they can put in their information and they can get a full access to every single benefit that they qualify for. They also can tap into additional resources, but it also creates this bridge from community-based organizations to government to communicate and to continue to support a holistic wellness plan. So instead of thinking about aid programs, it's like, we're giving only aid to those that don't have, but it's an opportunity to use technology to create now this healthy sustainability track that a family can be walked out of poverty through an intentional investment of resources at various stages of their life. And then lastly, the data. I wish I had these tools when I was working in government, because you can have the greatest plan vision. You can have all the goals to have equity, but without data, it's just a dream.
Yeah.
So data really gives us the power to say, when I look at this landscape, where are those areas that are most in need, and then drive resources directly to those places, making using technology to really create a level playing field. The last piece I just want to leave people with is that most people that are navigating structural inequality, they can't afford to take off of work, to go into 10 different governmental offices to access what they need. So many times they're just doing just enough or accessing just enough. But with technology in this age that we're living in, it's easy to literally wrap government or wrap resources around a human on their cell phone. And so that's what I've dedicated the last 3 years of really perfecting, and really excited about the work that we're doing across the nation in the United States.
Asia, I'm just wondering what you just mentioned, those technological platforms, are they online and accessible now?
Oh, absolutely. They've been operable. Really, they launched and scaled in the pandemic, and we just continue to
Okay.
refine and perfect. But we serve states in the United States like New York, California, Washington. We work with county governments like Los Angeles, even within St. Louis, which is another larger suburban
Yeah.
area, Harris County, which is in Texas. So we serve nationwide, but we are literally every single month there's a new advancement that just makes government and makes systems and service to humans better.
And what are they called, Asia? These, how do people access it?
Yes, yes, it's called Forward Platform, and if they go
The
to
forward platform. Okay,
forwardplatform.com.
perfect. Yeah.
Mhm.
Challenges do you feel you encounter these days? You've had lots of challenges and you've shown people how to lead by example and how to overcome them. What are the challenges now and how do you reframe them?
Yes, I believe that we're now living in an age where disinformation is very just rampant. And we'll continue to see that with the expansion of AI and other just technology tools. So we really must be resolute. And I believe that alternative media platforms and information platforms like podcasts and like just YouTube and various mechanisms for people to get information is now so key. Data also suggests that the majority of people are now accessing information on alternative platforms versus just traditional broadcast television. So information, qualified information is really key because without the right information, it's very hard for people to make sound decisions. And so information is really key. Media is key in this age that we're living in, and then very much access. We also live in just this globalized world where just the traditional systems that really were separate, they're now losing the level of influence that they once had, which is also a beautiful thing because now knowledge is accessible, information is accessible, even implementation strategies are now accessible with technology. And so just really ensuring that people have accurate data and they also have a pathway on how to not be almost overloaded with information, but how to really structurize what their pathway is for their plan and to utilize these resources as tools instead of kind of almost overloading their brain, which is also heavily possible in today's time.
Yes, and not helpful, right? So you found very, very
Mhm.
efficient ways of scaling something to a serious size while keeping it individual for the person. So that's a really incredible achievement. Asia, what does
Mhm.
success look like for you? What does it mean?
For me, success is impact. I believe that we all have just an opportunity to be impactful wherever we are. And for me, I want to be precise and effective in the work that I'm committing myself to. I want to see people easily be able to access resources. I want the walls of just inequality to continue to be torn down. I want people to be able to really have the tools and resources and even information they need to build a life that they can be happy and content with. I believe that all people deserve to live healthy and safe and constructive lives. So for me, impact is having a positive a confluence in all of those realms of society. But I'm really excited about where we are from the technology standpoint because I see for the very first time, I would say in my lifetime,
Mm,
an equitable playing field.
yeah,
I'm committed to scaling that in as many
amazing.
ways as possible.
Yeah, amazing. Asia, you have worked in politics and now you're in the private sector. Given the times that we live in, where everything that you stand for is basically under attack, how do you feel about this? Do you feel a calling back to politics? Is there, how do you feel living
Yes.
in today's world?
I am resolute to not only impact the realms of policy, but also help raise up another generation of impactful people. Um, we started and we're opening up actually in a couple of weeks, just a cohort to help train people to take back their cities, their communities, how to hone and scale the political walls, and how to be effective and strategic. So it's called Grace to Govern. So this is a
Ways to
soft launch, but
govern.
we're opening up a space where we can just again train people that feel compelled to make a difference in their community, and whether or not they run for office or they understand how to really utilize their agency to the fullest capacity and hold those that are in office accountable at key and strategic times. The goal is to build more agency at the community level so that at the end of the day, our leaders, they in some way, whether we want to admit it or not, leadership is a reflection of the people. The sum total of people vote in who represents us. And so the only way to get better leadership is to really make sure that people are empowered and that they see themselves as leaders of influence, and they raise the standard of what they expect, and they also are able to discern between rhetoric and actual truth and passion. Because if you have a discerning eye, you can't be fooled. So my heart is to make sure that people are equipped to make a difference and also discern and make better decisions that impact all of us.
So, if you think about all the amazing things that you are and do, what are you most proud of to date?
Yes, I'm most proud of honestly being a mother. I love being a mom. I love raising up two little powerhouse little girls that love people and that understand who they are. I also love just being a wife. I'm married to my best friend for now 25 years. I can't believe that. But
Amazing.
I love our family unit, and then I love being able to just serve people. We mentor other leaders that lead in their territories, that lead in education and in the arts and technology, and just being able to see people go and take territory for good is for me, it's worth investment.
Yeah. Asia, so what are your plans and goals? What are you working toward? Which are the sort of big things that you want to achieve in the next year or years?
Yes, thank you for asking. Again, raising a new army of territory takers in their communities with Race to Govern. We are also launching a podcast called The People's Playbook, also in October of this year. I have books that I've written, just a memoir about my life and just other tools that I believe will help equip leaders that will be coming out as well. And then really, I am endeavoring to build a media platform as well that is really designed to create a place and a space for voices to come forward in an oversaturated, chaos-filled digital just airwaves to really be able to have a place where people can get real information that they can also really be built up in their skill sets and leadership and be encouraged and really just equipped. So I'm looking forward to offering that as well.
Which makes me very excited, Asia. I'm very excited. What do you want our listeners to take away from your story, Asia, and your insights?
Yes, that anything is possible for those that believe. Sometimes we think that there has to be some monumental thing that happens in our life for us to make a difference, but it literally just starts with a decision and believing that what you have inside of you is valuable and powerful and worth pouring out. So I just pray that people are encouraged to take what they have and make a difference where they are because we need you. We need you to step up, especially in this hour.
Asia, I'm so unbelievably grateful for having you on SHECAN today, for you leading with evidence-based, really smart solutions that are highly scalable, will help and support millions of people. And I'm so excited about Grace to Govern. I'm so excited about your big vision, about all the lessons learned that you will share on the podcast in your writing, and most importantly, for how you lead by example every day in everything you do. And so, thank you so much. And I would love to ask our listeners, what do you think? How do you lead? What is your sort of takeaway from this conversation? And what do you want to integrate into your life listening to Asia's story?